Nate, the president was very aggressive. President Obama, then candidate Obama, was very aggressive in contending that China was manipulating its currency. Is China still manipulating its currency? Remember what he said they were. Are they still?
I believe that China is still manipulating its currency. I believe that the currency
if that's the case, he went on to say in his remarks, Mr. Secretary, he said, if they are, then we're going to start shutting off access to our markets. What market have we shut off?
Say it to me again. So
he said if they're going to continue manipulating their currency, we're going to start shutting off access to our markets. I'm curious, which markets, now 3 years in his administration, has he shut off?
Let me address what is within my area of responsibility. The Department of Treasury deals with the tax issues, deals with the currency issues. But what we are responsible for at the Department of Commerce is seeing to it that there's no violation of trade laws, and it's important in direct response to your question that anything that is done, for example, out of China or any other.
Okay, you're saying it's not in your department then?
What I'm saying is that the reason that we have right now the very, very large number of orders that make it such that we impose heavy tariffs on goods that come from these countries is an offset to the fact that they're subsidizing unfairly under those laws. So that is
maybe we get back, if you could get back to us with a little bit more writing, I would appreciate that. If you could maybe explain, because we are short time on this, and I'd like to understand, you have acknowledged that they are manipulating their currency. The second is, you made an interesting remark that I appreciate.
Let me just say, if I could, we can refer that to the U.S. Department of Treasury. I'd be happy to refer it to them. That is where the judgment is reached about Treasury.
Okay. Well, yeah, the second issue that you made some interesting remark earlier about how they're reining in some of the regulatory effects, and you said as long as it doesn't have an impact on manufacturing and jobs, but yet we're already seeing that the using the Clean Air Act, the EPA has now caused up to approaching 40 gigawatts of power. Coal-fired generating plants have now indicated they're going to shut down. So would you not suggest that that probably is going to increase the cost of electricity to some manufacturers? When you have over 10% of our electric generating plants closing, isn't that likely to close, or excuse me, increase the cost of utilities?
You'll have to give me a little more in the case in point, but let me say, in general, what the President has stood for very strongly is limiting, reducing the level of regulation.
What he stands for, but it's what he's doing, he's allowing to happen. That's why I'm just asking your question, do you recognize, or does the Commerce recognize that decreasing electric generating facilities is likely to increase the cost of electricity? It's a yes or a no.
Let me address regulation, then I'll address utilities briefly, if I could. The regulation is the only thing that is allowed in this administration with regard to regulation is things that bear strictly on health, safety, and security. That's it. That's all. So what, as perhaps you've seen in some EPA cases, for example, the President has not allowed those to go forward. With regard to what happens to utility power costs, new forms of generation are less expensive than old forms of generation in many cases.
Oh, if they're subsidized, I suppose I go along. No, listen, I know a difference in time. The last is that comment that the congressman from New Jersey mentioned about the letter about Russia. This is a letter sent to you in February 17th. So for your staff to be able to find that, there was a letter directed to your attention on February 17th asking, so perhaps they need to communicate that to you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. The chair recognizes Mr. Pompeo for 5 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Secretary.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate your enthusiasm for the growth of American manufacturing.